If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay. Espero que te quedes. Now, today's video, I think, is going to be an interesting one for you, because though I have mentioned a few of these words before, it wasn't really under the same title of words that don't exist in English. So Spanish words that do not exist in English. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. 10 words that, when we have to, we translate them how we can. You know, we try, but really there isn't an exact word for these 10 Spanish words. Okay, so let's look at the words that I've got for you, and I'm sure that there are many, but these are the ones that spring to mind when I think, what common words do I hear that I am absolutely positive we don't have an exact translation for? These, my good people, these. Okay, so the first one I have for you is this. It's an adjective, friolero or friolera, if you're a girl. Now, I can hear that loudspeaker outside. I hope you can't hear it. Anyways, so friolero, if you look it up, it's going to give you a translation which is cold-blooded. But cold-blooded in English, I feel, refers to animals. You know, those animals that change according to their temperature. So you would say they adapt to the temperature around them. Or it can also mean a callous person, so an unfeeling person, someone who's quite cold. But it doesn't mean that. In Spain, if someone says to you, soy bastante friolero, it means that they're sensitive to the cold, and they're always cold. They're always cold, even when it's not cold. So, yo no soy muy friolera, okay? I'm not sensitive to the cold. So that's what it means. It doesn't mean to be cold-blooded, but to be sensitive to the cold. We don't have a word for that at all. So though you will find cold-blooded, it doesn't mean that, because cold-blooded means something else. So I would say sensitive to the cold. That's how we would translate it. Sensitive to the cold, or someone who is always cold. Okay? On one of those days where everyone's warm, this person's like this, they're always cold. So if you were like this, you would describe yourself as being friolero. Okay, we don't have a word for that. Okay, moving on. The next one is this. Tutear. What's that? We've seen it. And it means to address someone in an informal way using the tu version of you. But obviously, we only have one version of you in the singular, so we don't have this word. I suppose in English we would say, can I address you on a first name basis? You know, you can explain what these mean, but really, do we have a verb for tutear? No, we don't. We explain what we mean. Can I speak to you? Can we communicate on a first name basis? Yes or no? Imagine if someone said no. You would have to then continue to address them by their surname, Mr. whoever. But the word tú, to say, I'm talking to you. Tú eres de Londres. You are from London. Okay? Tú. That's me tuteándote, okay? But in English, if I say you, it would be you and you. I'm you and you informally. So you see, tutear does not exist in English, but it does mean to address someone using the informal word tu. You, informal you in English, okay? So tutear does not exist, but we would say to address informally. Informally address someone. Okay? There you go. Okay, so number 3 is one that you would have heard a million times, and we've given you a translation for it. But if you stop and you think about it, it doesn't really exist. Merendar, which is the verb, and the noun, merienda. So lots of times the kids say to me, my children will say to me, obviously because they spend a lot of time in Spain, they're from here really, they will say, Mom, what are we going to meriendar? Okay, and I'm like, why don't you say it in English? And they're like, how do you say merendar in English? There really isn't a word for merendar. And we would say to have a snack in the evening. There isn't a verb. Cenar is to dine, literally, or to have dinner. But merendar, what is that? So it's that meal you would have after lunch, but before dinner it's a snack. It's an evening snack, but it doesn't exist. So merenda would be to have a snack in the evening, to have an evening snack. Okay, so normally it's a sandwich, or it might be a piece of fruit, or nothing too heavy, because you have to remember that dinner is coming later on. Okay, so merenda, which is to have a snack, and merienda is the actual snack that you're consuming. We don't have a word for it, but I love it. Okay, right, moving on. One of my favorite is this, sobremesa. When I was growing up, we were so busy that we didn't even have time for this, because literally, unless it was Saturday or Sunday where my parents would have time off work and so that we could actually eat together, then perhaps, or at Christmas. That's so sad when you stop to think about it. Okay, so as you know, lots of Spanish people, well, most Spanish families make a big deal about eating times and eating together. It's a thing, which is it's a beautiful thing, I think, to make that time. And you see that in Spanish culture as well. You know, most businesses close at 2 o'clock so people can go home to have lunch with their families, and then they will return to work in the evening to then continue working. But you will have a couple of hours off for lunch, so you can enjoy that time. And then later on, they will then get together again in family and have lunch, dinner. So sobremesa is that moment, that time you have after you've finished your meal, whether it's lunch or dinner. So, you know, when you clear the table, when you've finished eating, there's still a moment that you just sit there and converse with your family or your friends. This is called sobremesa. If someone knows what we would call that in English, please jot that down for me, because I can't think of a word. I've explained to you what it is, but we don't have that. Okay, I'll give you a sentence though. Se me ha hecho muy corta la sobremesa. So, se me ha hecho, it seemed to me, se me ha hecho. It appeared to me, okay? So it seemed to me very short. Sometimes you translate it, it doesn't make as much sense. So the sobremesa for me seemed really short because I was having so much fun, okay? Se me ha hecho muy corta. Pasó volando, okay? So it just flew by. Sobremesa. Please help me out. How would we say that? Is there a word? I am sure there isn't. So that's one. It's that moment that you sit down to converse after a meal. So a moment to converse after you finished eating. So you don't just get up, clear the table and go about your business. You actually sit and perhaps you can continue having a drink and just enjoying your that time with the people who are special to you, or the people you were dining with. Okay, right. Moving on. So the next one we have is puente. Yes, it means a bridge. I know. But I think that there are way more puentes in Spain than there are in the UK. And puentes, people talk about puentes all the time. Me voy de puente, okay? I'm going on my puente. And it just refers to a long weekend, because we don't have a word for it. It's a long weekend. Normally, if there's a holiday on Thursday, for instance, they would join Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you've got your long weekend. Or maybe it's your weekend plus Monday, or plus Monday and Tuesday. It depends on the time. It's different all the time. Okay, it depends what you're celebrating. And so yeah, puente would be a long weekend for us. Okay, and many times you will hear people say, "Oh, ¿dónde vas de puente? Where are you going for your long weekend?" This is something people look forward to. Los puentes son muy importantes en España. Okay, right. Moving on to number 6, we have tocayo or tocaya, which refers to a person who shares the same name as you. So when I was growing up, I had so many tocayas. Yes, Kerry was such a popular name when I was in school. So in my class, I had 5 tocayas. Kerry spelled lots of different ways, but those were my tocayas, just that we shared the same name. So it's namesake, I suppose, but we don't go around saying namesake a lot, but I suppose that would be the translation, okay? Ella es mi tocaya. So if I meet you for the first time and I have a friend next to me and I say, mira, esta es mi tocaya, you know that her name is Kerry also. Okay? There you go. Next one I have for you, oposición. Right. So you will always hear people talking about las oposiciones. Estoy haciendo las oposiciones. Okay? So the oposición is a public examination that the people do in Spain. So everyone knows about them, about these oposiciones, because to become a teacher, you have to take una oposición. To become a doctor, you have to do a oposición. It's like a long process of being selected to then do your job. For instance, in England, to become a teacher, all I had to do was to study my degree, then do my postgraduate, and then I went to interviews, got my first job, and I'd go to interview wherever. I wasn't limited to just my area. And so it's a very complicated system in Spain where you have to go through the process of doing an oposición and then being selected, and you can't just go wherever you want around Spain to work. You are placed in a certain area and a certain school you can't choose. So it takes away that independence that you would have, I think, and it's an interesting concept, but we don't have that in the UK. Not saying that you don't have public examinations, but it doesn't determine where you get placed if you want to become a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher or whatever it is, a medical secretary, whereas it's a requirement here to do this oposición. Okay? And so you will hear it in texts. All the time you will hear Spanish people talking about la oposición. This is what they're talking about. So to get that job, whether it's a civil servant job or a steady job, they will need to take this examination. Lucky for us, you don't. All right, moving on. Next, quinta. Okay, quinta, yes, means fifth, in the plural. Okay, in the feminine. Quinta. Primero, segundo, tercero, cuarto, quinto. Yes. But apart from that, the word quinta refers to someone who is from this, you're saying your year. So if you're in year 10, everyone that's in year 10 at the moment with you is your quinta. Este mi quinta. Okay? He's from my year. We don't really say that a lot. We don't use that. Means very likely that you were born in the same year, or that you're from, that you're the same promoción in español. Okay? So, es mi quinta. And one of these expressions that I love that has this, quinto, I wanted to share with you because I love this. Has nothing to do with this, but since it's the same word, I thought, why not? En el quinto pino, in the fifth pine. What's that? Oh, in the fifth pine tree. It just means in the middle of nowhere, really far away. No voy a vivir ahí en el quinto pino. I'm not going to live in the middle of nowhere. Are you crazy? So that's an expression I love. En el quinto pino, which refers to in the middle of nowhere. I love that. Of nowhere. Nowhere. Okay? Right. Now, let's move on to number 9, which is pardo. Now, this one is color. El color pardo. When someone says pardo to you, and I've asked a few people about this, and they can't seem to coincide. So, pardo is a brownish. It can be brownish gray, or it can be a brownish red color. It's a little sort of like a dull color. So yeah. For example, you could say, tengo los ojos pardos. And I suppose the closest translation you would get would be hazel eyes. You've got hazel eyes. Brown mixed with something else. Brown with green, for instance. And that's an interesting question as well. Brown and blue, does that make hazel as well? I think so, not sure, let me know. Right, so you might have heard el oso pardo, which is an American bear. Oso pardo, which would be the grizzly bear, would be oso pardo. Okay, so this is a word we don't really use a lot. Pardo, which is like brown. It's a brown mixed with, it's like a brownish color, brown. It's like a browny gray color or browny red color. Okay? And an expression. I'm always with the expressions, right? Liarla parda. Extremely colloquial. Don't fight it, you can say it. And obviously I'm equipping you to recognize it if you hear it. Liarla parda is to make a massive mess of something, okay? To mess up something really badly. Or also to throw a giant, massive party. You know when your parents go out and you're like, okay, this is the moment to have a massive party. La voy a liar parda. I'm going to have a massive party. There you go. So it's either to mess something up or to throw a massive party. To have a massive party or to make a big mess. Okay? La has liado parda. La has liado parda. La has liado parda. Okay? La has liado parda. Moving down to the last one, which is consuegro or consuegra. So this word you would use to describe your partner's parents. So imagine, I'm a mother, so I have children obviously. So those children get married to their partners. So their partner's parents and I would be consuegros. Yeah, think about it, okay? So, you have children. Your children's partner's parents are your consuegros. Esta es mi consuegra. If I say, esta es mi consuegra, it means she is the mother of my children's partner, or my child's partner. We don't have that word in English. We do not. What would you call your the relationship between your mother and your partner's mother? They have no link, they're not related. Well, in Spanish, they're related. They're consuegras. And the dads son consuegros. And all together, they're consuegros. There you go. I mean, you have to love it. You have to love it. And so, yeah, these are my 10 words that do not exist in English. And if you can think of one that really does not have a translation, but was not covered today, share it with us, please. I love to learn new things. And obviously, when I learn them, I pass them on to you. Let me know how your week is going, how your exams went, and I will see you next time. Take care, and that is it.